privacy, I'll keep it hush, hush. I'll stay down low for you. I like when it's just you and me, I'll keep it hush, 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 baby.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Lex.
And Courtney.
And you are listening to The Pleasure's All Yours. We are here, of course, again this week. If you've never listened to us before, we are here to encourage sexual liberation in the Black and queer communities. We really just wanted to make a space for everyone to talk and learn and have fun, kiki a little bit, and really just emphasize that the pleasure is...
It's all yours, baby.
It's all yours. Wow. What the fuck is up, Court?
Hey, week 2 Pride,
Week
June.
2 Pride, yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely. Well, for those of you who don't know, we start each episode with a fun fact and also our pleasure moment of the past week. But since we usually record on Sunday and today's Tuesday, I guess we can go between last Sunday and like now.
Okay.
So what was your pleasure moment for the week, Court? I know Monday started and your brain reset.
I swear to God it did. You know, I completely forgot about what I even did last week. But, I'm going to say that my pleasure moment was a series of moments. Mm-hmm. On Friday, we jumped almost 100 followers on our Instagram.
We did.
And then Lex and I went out per Lex. She was daddy for the weekend. And we went out to Applebee's and we drank a lot of the $6
we tried to get a rum bucket, but them niggas didn't even have it. We literally sat down at the bar and said, "Do you have the rum bucket?" And he said, "Nah."
And that was it. No questions, no follow-ups. That was it. Even though there was a big sign hanging from the ceiling that
right behind us
that they had it, but whatever. The $6 they weren't margaritas.
Sips or something like
Tipsy.
Something like that.
But yeah.
But Applebee's has $6, and if you go late at night, the appetizers are half off.
So we got the mozzarella sticks.
Yeah, and we also got spinach artichoke dip, and the green tea shots were $3, so we definitely had a few of those.
Is Applebee's sponsoring us? They should.
I feel like they should.
We just gave a whole 30-second commercial, bitch.
Yeah, and it got ratchet in there. Why you got security at the Applebee's?
Oh yeah, it really did. It was like a little club at the end of the
here.
Yeah, niggas was having a good time at Applebee's.
This bitch off. I was like, oh shit, in the Applebee's?
We might have to go back there, like make that our little Friday night
that's
spot.
Literally, I'm telling you, that's literally me and Ren's, like, anytime we're like, let's go get drunk and not spend a lot of money, that's usually where we go.
Yeah, because those drinks, I was fucked up. I was fucked up.
Or couldn't even finish her last one.
I couldn't finish my last one. I was falling asleep. Like, it was like, it just hit me in the head. Like,
especially once we got in the car.
Oh, the car ride's always going to do it to you.
Yeah.
But that was my pleasure moment, was being able to, like, inadvertently celebrate our growth and our successes. That was my pleasure moment.
And then we watched Hairspray.
And I watched 15 minutes of Hairspray. I didn't even get to the part where she gets to the audition.
Oh, bitch. I knew your ass was asleep.
No, what I like to do is I like to pop out of the blue. It's hot in here. I turned it down to 70, but I'll turn it down again. What I like to do is fall asleep while me and my friends are watching movies. I do this with my roommate all the time. And I like to pop back up and I like to commentate on what's happening on the screen.
So you think she's not sleeping.
So you think I'm caught up, bitch. But really, I've just seen this movie 15 times.
But also, Court, even when we were watching something we haven't seen before, you do this thing where you do that, but I just feel like you're not as slick as you think you are, because your breathing gets real slow. And so I literally hear it and I'm like, oh, this bitch done fell asleep. And then you pop up and that's what makes me laugh. That's why usually whenever you pop up, I start giggling because I'm like, this bitch been mad asleep. And she just popped out of nowhere. That's funny.
Okay, bitch.
I love it though.
I'm really turning into my mom, and I hate that for me. It's like 2 drinks, and I'm satisfied, and I'm a little tipsy. Yeah. So, Lex, what was your pleasure moment?
I think my pleasure moment, besides this weekend, was yesterday. I did go and see The Little Mermaid again. Aww, with Ren, and so that was fun. And then we just got really high, and we didn't eat lunch at work because we went right after work. We didn't eat lunch at work, and so we got like food from the movie theater. And I had nachos. Ren had nachos. We got like onion rings and ices, and we just put all the food in between us, and we were just watching The Little Mermaid. And there was literally, Ren was like, Sebastian is carrying this movie.
Not Sebastian.
And I was like, Sebastian? I would say it was Scuttle, but okay, like.
So did you see it in 3D this time?
No, I saw it regular, and
did you like it better or worse? Or
I really liked it in 3D. I'm not gonna lie, I liked it in 3D because there were so many there's so many moments in the movie where you can tell that they made it for 3D. And so, like, I just, and maybe it was the shrooms also, but like, I was watching it and I was like, ugh, this scene looks so much better the last time I saw it, you know? And the whole Under the Sea song did so good in 3D.
It did.
And like, watching it flat, I was like,
lackluster,
this is lackluster.
This
is
mediocre.
But Ren was so excited to see that movie. And when we left, they were like, yeah, it's ingrained in my brain. I love it.
Oh,
and
I love that.
When Prince Eric was doing his song, I told right before he started, I was like, you know, Courtney said he was really one note, you know, and then like 2 seconds into the song, Ren was like, yeah, this is crazy. And then they just kept singing, and so Ren started laughing at the lyrics and laughing at him, and so of course I started laughing at him, and I was like.
Why is this white man singing on the screen? I don't remember this happening in the animated version. Y'all need to stop adding stuff.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
And every time he like said exactly what happened, like something about seeing him on the shore, that one line that we laughed at also, Ren was like cackling. And then there was these 3 black teenagers that were sitting behind us. And there were some parts of the movie where they'd be like, yeah, exactly.
Oh, no.
Yeah, and they start clapping. And I'm like, oh, my God. But then there was this little black girl that was sitting in the front. And when she was singing Under the Sea, she was up dancing. And it was just the cutest thing ever. So.
I love The Little Mermaid for the little black girls everywhere.
Yes.
I love seeing the videos. I love seeing them sing Part of Your World. I love seeing the black moms go and get the outfits and the dress up and do their hair. And like, I fucking love all of that.
Yeah.
But to be honest, I'm only watching a Disney musical in the future if it's directed by fucking Kenny Ortega, bitch.
Okay.
Period.
I know who that name is, but I don't know who that nigga is.
You don't know who Kenny Ortega is? The director of The Cheetah Girls, the director of High School Musical, the director of Lemonade Mouth, the director of any
Yeah.
Disney Channel original DCOM musical vibe. Kenny Ortega did that shit. And you know what he also did? Choreographed that shit.
Okay.
You know what he also did?
What? Produced it?
I think he wrote some of it.
Okay. Alan, what's his name?
Alan Rickman.
No, Alan. Who the fuck is that?
Professor Snape. R.I.P. R.I.P. to Alan Rickman and R.I.P. to Snape.
Okay. It's the guy who usually makes the songs. He did all the songs for Little Mermaid. He's like a.
Oh yeah, I don't know the name, but yes, I know who you're referring to.
The songs were great.
He's mid.
I enjoyed the songs a lot. Very feel good kind of things.
I like Part of Your World.
Yeah,
I like. You didn't like Under the Sea. I like Under the Sea.
I like the one where she was like, for the touch for the first time. Oh, that one was good.
That one was pretty good.
One.
Yeah,
I like that one.
Yeah, that one was good. Hallie is in general, she's amazing.
Yeah,
so.
She is.
I prefer like the music styles of like from like Hercules.
Yeah.
Ooh, like vibe, you know, like no chance, no way, I won't.
Where it sounds like they put it on the radio or something.
Yes.
Okay.
That was some jazzy shit in Hercules. Okay. That's what they need to do a remake of, because you know how hot Meg would be.
Ariana Grande obviously has to play Meg.
Really?
Obviously.
Really?
Yeah. Have you not seen Ariana Grande do the cosplay and sing the songs?
No.
It's perfect. It's a high ponytail and a tiny bitch.
Yeah.
With a light voice. Come on.
With a little attitude.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to look that up. I've never seen her cosplay as Meg.
She did a whole video of it where she sang it. I don't think she did it on. I don't know if they did it on Broadway, but I do remember her doing the Megan cosplay, and I was like, oh my God, this is fab.
She's such a theater gal, and I love that for her. She's just been posting like her and Liz Gillies doing the thing. Bitch, how did we get on this topic?
Oh, we were talking about Little Mermaid.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, but yeah, that was my pleasure moment. So today we are going to be talking about coming out and also sharing coming out stories. So the episode might be a tad longer than it usually is, but I'm going to try to keep it wrapped up real nice. Either way, I do have a fun fact for us. Yeah, I got it together.
Okay, bitch, let's go.
Okay, and we love our animal facts in this house, so it's another. Our fun fact is There was a report that sheeps found 8% of rams exhibited homosexual preferences.
Hell yeah.
And that is even when given a choice.
Hell
they
yeah.
choose male over female partners. So the rams and the sheeps are gay. Yeah.
That's fucking dope.
Just like those other ones were lesbians. Last week or the week before, we did a fun fact, and it was like, oh shit, these bitches are gay.
Oh my God, I don't even remember the animal, and that sucks. But yes, that's dope because I feel like 8%, that's bigger than like humans.
Yeah.
Like I think humans have like 3% of them identify as LGBTQ, but 8% of the rams, y'all niggas gay as fuck.
Y'all niggas gay.
Y'all see some hard ass horns, and y'all was like, okay.
Now I'm thinking the team, the Rams, gay pride.
Should we tag them in this? Don't know.
At Rams, are you guys gay?
We'll be banned from the stadium, banned from the state, banned from it all.
Somebody's gonna find where we live, I would assume, because them fans are worse. Sports fans are just as bad as Barb's.
Well, let me give you a hint. We are located in the middle of the United States in a state called Wisconsin. Go from there. If you can find our city from that information, bah.
Do it. Okay, so before we talk Courtney and I's coming out story, I did want to talk about where the concept of coming out came from. And it was a term that was adapted in the 30s that was derived from debutantes, where they were young women coming out into high society. Mm-hmm. They'd have this whole ball. That's where balls come from. Mm-hmm. They have this whole ball and this whole party just to celebrate all these women coming of age, joining high society, everything like that. And since in the 1930s and 50s, it was especially dangerous to be even suspected of being queer, people sort of stopped talking about coming out in forms of being like, oh yeah, I like this person. That's where the terms like, oh, I'm a part of the church, or I'm a part of the family, or yeah, she's like me. Mm-hmm. That's where those terms came from. It was a very discreet way of identifying each other without actually identifying each other. Mm-hmm. So if somebody was like, oh, she said she was in the family. Okay, what family? The church family? Like
the family, bitch.
The family.
You either know or you don't.
It's the gay one.
If you know, you know.
Yeah. But now we just be like, I'm gay. So... Sometimes, yeah. I personally feel like coming out is dumb, and I feel like it would be great if, as a society, we could move past the idea of coming out, because I still feel like it plays into a lot of heteronormative things, and it just also shows how much heterosexuality is pushed on everything within the world, because true. You're the one who assumed that I liked the opposite sex. You're the one who is assuming that I'm going to go and have... you're making the assumption here. You don't know me. You don't know what I like. You don't know the people I know or anything like that. So I just feel like it's really dumb. And I feel like that's one reason why my coming out story is how it is. Because I always, from when I was a teenager, I was like, I think it's just so fucking dumb. You're the one who assumed. Yeah. You're the one who assumed. I'm just being myself, and you assumed that I was someone other than myself, and that has nothing to do with me. So, sit on it. But anyway, do you want to go first?
Sure. I want to respond to you though, because I don't feel like it's I don't feel like you have to come out. If you're gay and you don't want to come out ever, or if you I don't know. I feel like the opposite of you, but I really understand your point. You're I don't have to come out. I don't owe y'all niggas shit. Die. But I also feel like that's a way, I don't know, it's more for yourself. I feel like coming out is for me. I feel like I came out for me. Mm-hmm. And so I encourage people to do that for themselves, because it's kind of liberating yourself. It's for at least me, who wasn't born thinking that she was gay, or even going through high school, I knew I liked girls. And if you ask my friends from high school or my roommate, they'd be like, yeah, bitch, you said you've always liked girls. You said you like girls. Mm-hmm. But when I finally came out last year, that was when I truly felt like this is part of my identity, and this is who I am, and I'm like proud of it. And so I don't know, I wouldn't take away that experience for me, but everybody's fucking different, you know? So for my experience, let's see where I should start. Yeah, I said it last week. I've been gay, like gay-ish, like I've liked, like I liked the bitches.
Black-ish.
I liked the hoes.
White-ish.
Yeah, I came out last year to my parents and some of my family members. Some of my family members probably still don't know. I assume that because this podcast has been out for almost a year, that it's like kind of just something that has like, is just known but not talked about. Yeah. But as far as my intermediate family, it was kind of a journey because like I've always dated men. As I said last week on the pod, I've always dated men, and my parents have just always known my boyfriends, and I've brought them around my family. I brought them around my grandmother, my aunts, my cousins. So to them, I was just this way. And when you said you wanted to start the podcast, like, I don't even remember when you said that, like probably like January to March or something.
I just remember you being like, I have to come out to my mom now.
Yeah, exactly. So like, I was like, shit, this is something I'm going to be putting out into the universe. So I really have to come out to my parents before this comes out. And like, as we started preparing for the podcast, like let's just say it started in March, up until we released in July, I was just like anticipating every week I would be like, okay, I'm going to come out to them. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. We're going to this thing. So I'm going to do it. And it just, I don't know why I felt like I couldn't. It was a bunch of different factors. Me and my parents, it's just me and them. Like, I'm an only child. I'm all they got, quote unquote, you know? And so they have a lot of energy that they tend to put into me. And that's a blessing and a curse, because last year I felt like I wasn't living up to their standards, and they felt like I wasn't living up to their standards, and they were expecting all these things of me and expecting me to make all these decisions. And so while that was happening, our relationship was just kind of awkward sometimes, because I really felt like, damn, are they proud of me? Like, damn, like, can they go to my friends' parents? All my friends from high school, their parents are really good friends. So I just started thinking, like, what are they gonna be able to bring to their friends about like who I am and how I'm making them proud? And so I just got awkward, and I got like inside myself, because I wasn't confident in what I was doing. I wasn't confident in the road I was taking. I wasn't confident in, you know, like what I was capable of. So I just didn't want to put another thing to like disappoint them onto like our relationship that was already very brittle. And then June came around, being Pride Month, and I was like, oh, perfect timing, yes. But no, because then I was like, oh no, my dad's birthday is the first week of June, and we had this huge party. Like,
it was a beautiful party.
Like 100 people, like traveling from all over the country came and like celebrated my dad. So like, I can't tell them this week, because then they'll be feeling some type of way, and then they might tell all my family members or like my aunts and my uncles and shit.
That's not what you're ready for.
That's not what I'm ready for. And then the next week was Father's Day, and I was like, this is about you. This isn't about me. Okay. And then it just like slowly, like these excuses just kept piling up. And then all of a sudden July 28th happened, and the fucking podcast was out.
And your parents were like, I want to support you.
Right. The podcast came out July 28th. My parents listened to the podcast and heard me say I was gay. Actually, no, that's not even what happened. My cousin listened to the podcast, and then my cousin said it was a great podcast, just in passing to my aunt, and my aunt listened to the podcast, and she found out, and then she asked my mom. She was like, so is Courtney gay? And like, did you know that? And that was what like really set my mom off, because she still hasn't, actually she has, like, when I talked to her about it, she hadn't listened to the podcast. So like, she was like, I was going to listen, but I wanted to give you your space because I know what the nature of what you're talking about, and I just didn't know how you would feel about it. But then I have other people coming to me and asking me, are you gay? Asking me, and I don't even know what to say. I didn't know this about you. Why does the whole world get to know these things about you before I get to know? And it just turned into like this whole issue of me being like private, and like me not sharing myself, and like feeling like I lied to them for X amount of years and all this bullshit. And it just kind of spiraled out of control. And like for a few months, that was all my mom would talk to me about, is just like how I like robbed her of a moment, robbed the family of a moment that could have been a good moment.
It could have still been a good moment.
And that's what I tried to tell her plenty of times. I was like, first of all, and I'm telling this to the audience as well, you shouldn't come out for somebody else.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't come out. I did come out, I guess, to make sure that my parents knew, because I knew it was going to be out there. Yeah. I knew it was going to be out there, and I should have come out before. I should have. That is the only regret I have, is that I didn't tell them myself.
I feel like also a good question for them to ask themselves is why would she feel like she couldn't tell us? I feel like that should have been more so of the question than you robbed me of the life I brought for you and all this other stuff. That's like extremely selfish as fuck. And like, you know, I love your parents, and I love that they love you and support you and everything, but that's like really selfish. Like, you robbed me, you robbed the family. Like, first of all, how is me coming out now about you and the family? That makes no fucking sense.
That's exactly how it felt. That's exactly how it felt for like the rest of the year. It was just like, why is this about you? Why is this about you? It doesn't affect you in any way, honestly. And I think that's the other thing. I was like, well, Mom, I've always dated men, and I never said I was going to bring home a woman. I never had a woman that I thought, ooh, let me bring this person home, like, and introduce them this way. And so I just felt like I didn't need to, because I also know my parents, and they tend to have questions, and they're never the right questions. They're always like very accusatory, or like you know, like that like weirdly confused voice that people do. They
put their head to the side.
Like,
they put their head to the side, and they're like,
So you're telling me this? Can you explain that to me? So how did this come about?
It sort of sounds condescending.
Condescending. That's the word I'm looking for. Thank you. Condescending.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like, that's how it's been. Even, I think I had a conversation with them, a month ago? I told you about that conversation.
Yeah.
It was so intense. And like, I am not even about to like go into detail about it, but I was like, damn. And I told them, I was like, this is really, I think, the reason why I didn't come out, because y'all are asking these questions and you expect me to have the answer. Because they kept asking me like, why? That was one thing. They're like, why and how? Why and how?
Like, look at a pair of titties and then get back to me.
Nigga, this shit is genetic. And my cousin is gay as fuck. And luckily for me, she came out maybe like 6 years ago before me, when she was my age, when she was actually exactly my age. She came out. And so my family had already experienced a coming out scenario, and my cousin is one of my best friends, so she coached me through it, and I had somebody I could lean on and who understood, and she would give me the rundown. She would be like, okay, well, you know, your mom reacted like this when I told her, and your dad reacted like this, and this is what he said. And they basically kind of regurgitated that information, but harsher, because I'm their daughter, you know, and they see this life for me. But ultimately, after the conversation I had with them a few months ago, they know now that I'm very, like, I am just as likely to bring home another man as I am another woman or non-binary person. Mm-hmm. And hopefully they've wrapped their minds around it. They're definitely more open and more, like, interested in the podcast as a business model, you know, because they're big on that.
I always doubted that your parents would actually sit through a whole episode because of how we talk.
Yeah, no.
And especially your mom.
Oh my God.
It just didn't seem like something she would listen to fully, but I always knew that either way, she was like, it's great. I remember when she was like, it's great that you have something that's consistent and brings you passion or something like that.
Yeah.
And I was like, they could probably support it in that way, but as far as the content, probably not. Yeah, no, not the content. But when I showed my parents the pitch deck or whatever last weekend, and my mom was like, oh, I didn't know you guys had all this going on. Oh, okay, you have that's very interesting. But like, it's always the business side of things. It's never the content, which is fine, because it's not really for her. She's the kind of person that would be like, you said coochie on the mic? What do you think your grandmother's gonna say about this? What do you think of your possible future embryos will think about this? What about your job? And I said, honestly, Mom, if they find me and they have the balls
to come and talk to me about it.
Bitch, I'll walk out for you.
Because you know what that means? Because
and leave.
You know what that means? It means we've broken the barrier. Because
Yeah.
they are so far away from our target audience that if we've broken the barrier for them to see
That
it,
means
then
somebody
this is
went
real.
looking.
This is real, and
Yeah.
that we're doing the right thing, and we're getting
Yeah.
eyes on us. So I will happily walk out after that.
Yeah.
But ultimately, so I can cut this short because I know I want to hear your coming out story too. Don't come out for somebody else. Come out for yourself. Even if those people are confused or have a lot of questions, you don't have to answer those questions.
I would just send a Google link. I would just be like, hey,
Yeah.
I would literally send some self-help YouTube videos.
And that's what I should have done instead of sitting there trying to argue with my dad about like shit
then,
like that.
Because then it's also putting you in a position to also feel judged by them because of the type of questions that they're asking. Also because they know they couldn't go up to a different gay person and be like, so what about those dicks? They're not gonna be able to ask that, but they could ask you because you're their kid.
Exactly.
But it's like, also, babes, there's so many TikToks and YouTubes for parents with queer children and self-help books also.
Truly. And I like having dinner conversations with my fucking parents, okay? But there's a difference between like genuine questions and like, and genuine curiosity or trying to understand, not even trying to understand, trying to be educated on something that they don't know anything about.
Yeah.
And being condescending and questioning my choices.
And like the sureness of your own self and choices.
Yes. All in all, me and my parents are in a much better place in general than I say we were last year. Partly, I think, due to the fact that I came out. Because now I just don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck anymore. I don't. Like, I just be looking at them like this when they talk to me like, okay.
Girl, you look a mess.
Why you yelling, honey? Because I can. That is exactly my mom. Because I can.
Girl, you look a mess.
But yeah, so that's my coming out story. I hope it inspired some of you guys to come out for yourself.
Yeah. I'm glad that it at least turned around to something positive, and I'm sure like as time goes on, it'll probably be like the same, especially because so many of your cousins are also queer. So it's like, one of you niggas in this family is lying because we had to get it from somebody.
Bro.
I bet you know
I
what?
already know who it is. They're over there. They're not. Oh,
I just think it would be funny if it was.
Hell no. Hell no. My grandmother went out and marched on the street for abortion rights. And then in the same weekend, I told her I was going back home early to go to a drag show. And she was like, oh no, you shouldn't be going out there. That's not appropriate. That's not godly.
Oh, yikes.
I'm like, girl. So speaking of, she don't know I'm gay. She don't know I'm gay. If my grandmama asks, I'm bringing home a nigga. She don't gotta know.
You gotta draw one of those Sharpie beards.
Something, because like I love my grandma to death, and to me, it's not worth it for me to come out to her and have the relationship be different for the last 20 years of her life, or however many 20 plus years of her life. I don't want it. And my mom keeps pressuring me. She's like, you got to tell her, because this is what she said. Are you really being true to yourself if you don't tell your grandmother? You're over here saying that you're not lying and that you're open, but you don't want to tell your grandmother? And she knows why I don't want to tell my grandmother. So why are you acting like that,
First
girl?
of all, why are you trying to start a pot right now?
Why are you trying to start a pot right now?
Why you want me to have a bad relationship with my grandma?
Because she don't like you. You don't want I really hope she does not choose to watch this episode, because I really love my mom so much, and she's really funny, but she can just be like a lot sometimes. But I still love my mom.
You're worried about me. You need to be worried about you.
This seems like you're projecting. Whatever. Lex, tell me about your coming out story.
So I guess I sort of have like two different versions of my coming out story. Like, I feel like I have always known that I really liked girls and I like being around them and everything like that. And middle school, maybe like 7th grade, is when I had these two best friends, Marilyn and Rosa, and we were like, I remember like crying for days because I was like in love with this girl, and I was like, I want to tell my friends so I can talk to my friends about this person, and I was just like freaking the fuck out. And I just remember bringing them into the bathroom during lunch, into the big stall, and I was like, crying, and they were like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "I just don't want you guys to hate me," and blah blah blah. And then I was like, "I just really like this girl," and like my friends were like, "That's it," and I was like,
how old are you?
I was literally in 7th grade. I don't remember.
Okay.
However
13,
long,
14, yeah.
So I was telling them that, and they were like, okay. And then, like, Rosa, who was like, well, I guess we were, all three of us were really close, but I was spending a lot of time with Rosa because I also thought she was super cute. But she was like, this just makes me love you more. Like, I love that you're different. And I was like, it was great. But when it comes to my family, it wasn't really that way. So, like you, I have a cousin that came out before I did, but she came out, like I came out to her, and then she came out to me, and then she ended up just coming out to the family before I did. And we were like super, super close, and like her coming out to her mom, like had me questioning whether I should come out to my own. But then my mom did this whole thing where she wouldn't let me hang out with her anymore. She basically wouldn't talk to my aunt anymore or anything like that. Like, we were literally forbidden from seeing each other. Like, my mom took my phone. She took any electronic item I had that I could get in contact with my cousin. She took it from me. Took it. Because she was like, I don't want you being influenced. Because that was my best friend. And we spent, like, every day together from the time we were like 2. Like, there are pictures of us, me sitting on the toilet and her holding my hand. That was my bestie. So like, she did this whole thing. And so since my mom reacted in such anger, and she would go on these homophobic rants for like an hour, like unprovoked. Also, like, it really pushed me not to say anything to her. And then at some point, I think probably when I got to high school and I really started like messing around with girls, and I started like really exploring them in a more mature way, that was when I was like, okay, well, if everybody else's parents can be normal about them coming out, and my mom can't be normal about me coming out, why do I even have to say anything to her? Because obviously it's not going to go well, 1, and 2, it's not even like she'll actually acknowledge it as like a real feeling. Like, she would say my cousin was confused all the time, and she was like, it's just a phase, and like all this other shit. So, you know, and you know, my mom is awful. She is
crazy.
She is a mess. So,
a child.
Yeah. So it was like a lot to deal with. And then there was just one day where I came out to a teacher, and she was like, okay. And then that's when I was like, she was like, and even my teacher was like, I mean, as long as you're being a good person, I don't really see why, like, anybody has, like, why you have to even go through all of this. Because I was crying, and she was like, you're a good person, you're a good student, all this, you're respectful, all of that shit. So when she said that, it also got my brain thinking, like, yeah, like, everyone else is the one who is assuming that I'm going to be with a man. You're assuming that I'm going to have children. You're assuming that I want to get married to a man. Like, you're the one making an ass out of yourself, babes, by thinking that that is what I want, because that is what's normal, quote unquote. So once I got that thought in my head, bitch, I was like, if they find out, they find out. And that's just that, because I just didn't see the big deal in it. And I was still the same person before and after, so it didn't really matter. But I was dating this woman, and Courtney likes to remind me, it was a white woman. She'll be like, randomly, she'll be like, remember when you used to date a white woman?
Or if she's saying, like, if she, like, mentioned something that one of her exes did, I'm like, oh, is this the white woman?
And I'm like, no, bitch.
Oh, surprising.
But yeah, I started dating her at the end of my senior year, and I had already been moved out of my mom's place and everything like that. Me and my mom ended our relationship when I was in high school very awfully, and I don't want to say we, because it wasn't me.
Because you're the child, so it couldn't have been you. So
I'm a kid, and so the way it ended anyway just wasn't good. And I just remember like dating her for a while. And mind you, while I was dating her, I was also like living with one of my friends, because I had moved out of my mom's house at this point. And how many times my mom would call me and like yell at me, scream at me, call me all these awful names. Like, why would you say this to your kid? She'd say all these things. So it really just made me recede even further from even saying anything to her. So when I was dating this woman, I was living by myself at this point. I think we had just been dating for a while, and then we decided to get engaged, and it was like the fucking most it was the most like insincere and unromantic thing ever that happened to me. Like, oh, maybe we should get married, and then I was like, yeah, maybe we should.
Like, and she didn't propose to you.
No,
or anything.
She didn't. She proposed the idea to me, and then I was like, oh yeah, that would be cool. And then she just started showing me rings. She started showing me the ring she was looking at, and then she ordered it, and then just told me, your ring's in the mail. Yeah, it was awful. But we got engaged, and then a little while after, me and my mom reconnected very briefly, one of the 3 times and one of the last times, but we reconnected very briefly, and she was asking me what was going on in my life and everything like that. And I actually didn't tell her I was dating a woman. She invited me to a Christmas dinner at my dad's mom's house. And so I went, and I brought my fiance with me.
Oh, your white fiance.
Yeah. And they were like, oh, who's this? And I was like, oh, this is my fiance. And everybody was like, when did this happen? Mind you, my aunt, one of my eldest aunts, she is also gay.
Yeah.
That's my grandma's daughter.
Yeah.
My other aunt, who just came out as trans, was also identifying as a gay man at this point.
Yeah.
So it's like, you have queer children, and it was just crazy because everything was going fine. And I thought everything was going fine. And then I have this aunt who ironically lives near us. And I have not seen her since I was in middle school. I idolized her. She was a professor. She had a family. She had a home. She had all of her shit together. And she would call me sometimes and we'd talk. And I feel like this was probably the most devastating part of me coming out, because everyone else I could deal with. That's fine. I don't like you niggas anyway.
Right.
But my auntie, even though I didn't really see her that often, she would call me and we would talk, and she'd give me advice, and she'd ask me about things in my life and things like that. So I really valued her opinion. And I'm guessing in between of when I got there and when she got there, someone probably messaged her and was like, hey, Alexis has her fiance here, and it's a white woman. That's most likely how it went. And then I noticed the way she was treating my aunt, who was a stud, and she would just make these comments like, go put a fucking dress on. That's not cute. How long are you gonna keep this up? Shit like that, you know? And then when she came in and I went to hug her, I literally was so excited to see her, literally arms out to hug her. Yeah. When I tell you she walked around me and walked right past me, like I wasn't even there. Mind you, I walk in rooms and they'll be like, oh my God, is that Shantae? And I'm like, look at me again. Look at me again. Who am I? To the point where they're confusing us as the same person. And that, I feel like that was one reason why we were so close. But having that happen really solidified that the whole coming out shit is bullshit. You're making yourself upset and you're ruining a relationship for something that has nothing to do with you. Yeah. It has nothing to do with the person who I am, who I was before, who I am now. What all it is you're just finding out something new about me. Mm-hmm. Just like if you found out, oh shit,
her favorite color was pink. This whole time I thought it was blue.
It's literally just finding out a different characteristic about me, and that completely changed how you treat me and how, just the way my family treated me during that time really, really solidified the whole, not even coming out is dumb, but I just feel like it's slightly overrated just because again, you're the one who is making the assumption that I'm going to be living in the shadow that you are casting for me, and I'm not gonna do that. And now you're upset with me because I'm not doing that. And it just didn't make any sense to me. So first coming out story, very positive, because my friends were great, and there's that. But with on my family side, it was awful. I'd come out to anybody and they'd be like, dope. Literally, I love that you're just so open about it.
And it makes sense because no matter who your family is, it feels different, when it's your family versus the person you work with. They don't have any investment in your life, right? Yeah. So it's cool, whatever. Even your friends, they don't have investment in your life like that, especially when you're younger. So it's not like that. But your family, it makes sense as to why they might have to like be like, oh, this is different.
Yeah.
Okay, this is different. Now I know this new thing about you, but it shouldn't have to result in you treating them differently. How did they treat your two gay aunts?
I mean, because they were, I guess because my aunts were my grandma's children. Like, I personally don't, like, they'd give them shit, but they wouldn't. I just didn't feel like they got it the way I did, which really, really sucks because I'm the first grandchild. I'm the oldest grandchild. I'm literally, when I tell you all of my siblings and cousins, they all still live in my hometown. All still doing the same shit.
You're the definition of the traveling cool gay auntie. Like, that is you.
So it just like was really unfortunate to me. And then I think one thing that bugged me the most also about my dad's side of the family, especially because like my grandma on my mom's side, she was like, she would just call my girlfriends my friends. Like, she didn't really like give too much pushback over it. She would make a face and change her tone so you could tell she was kind of judging you, but she would not make a scene about it. Like, and that's what I appreciated. She made a scene for my cousin, and I think that me coming out after her was probably why it was like less of a blow. But like, yeah, just it was just crazy because my dad's side of the family was not in my life anyway. Like, I would drive by their house and you'd see like my siblings playing with my cousins in the front yard. Mind you, I live walking distance, an 8-minute walk from my grandma, and no one would even think to invite us. And as an adult, like addressing that, well, your mom didn't want you hanging out with us, blah, 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 all this other stuff. And now, like as an adult, hearing them talk to my trans aunt and like me talking to her and her just being like the things that my grandma says to her, and even the things that my grandma says to her in regards to me. And I love how she defends me, one. And two, it's like, this is your viewpoint on your own kid. Like, your kid is literally telling you, hey, like they took forever to even tell you. They started growing little titties before they even told you that they were doing any like gender affirming care or anything like that. So there's really nothing you could do. But like, it's just the whole opinion and the shutdown of like how you live your life. And as far as I know, my grandma used to be a queer prostitute. So, bitch.
Wow, what a story.
What a story.
A queer prostitute.
Yeah.
In the 1980s, I'm guessing? 70s and 80s? Like, damn.
Like, she's queer, but she was also out here popping cooch.
Popping that cooch.
Yeah, so.
Oh, your grandmother's confirmed queer?
She said, and I quote, "That was the devil's side of my life."
Girl, you still gay as
Meanwhile, when was the last time you got married or even went on a date with a man? Explain.
But I bet you she got a little best friend she goes and plays bingo and spades with.
I honestly have no idea. But my dad's side of the family also had their own church. They were very heavy Baptist. My whole family, like when you went to the church, the whole congregation was like my dad's side of the family and really close family friends. And yeah, I mean, everybody's blocked. Everybody's unfriended and blocked on that side of my family, and mostly on my mom's side of the family too, just because I don't like the whole conditional love. I don't like it.
Yeah,
especially because I feel like I love pretty unconditionally. So that is like really irritating to have someone be like, I love you, but I don't love this thing about you. I don't like it. So
yeah.
Obviously, always come out when you're ready and if you feel safe to, but also, like, the heteronormativity is so ingrained in our brains that being straight is quote-unquote normal, and that has nothing to do with you. So if you want to go and date women and then just randomly bring some woman home and be like, oh, this is my girlfriend. Okay.
You do that, boo.
You do that. Just make sure your partner is aware.
Ooh, shit.
Don't do that without.
I would not bring them into that situation.
Yeah, don't do that. But I did tell my partner at the time that nobody knew. So.
Okay.
But her family was racist to me. So I guess, like, really, how bad could it have been for her?
It's interesting that, and when you guys get to hear these coming out stories in just a few seconds or minutes, whatever, everybody has like very similar parts of their story. Like there's a lot of like standard pillars, you know, but then there's all these nuances that change your experience and change how you think about coming out and change how you want to move as a gay person through the world. And it's really interesting. It's upsetting to hear, you know, a lot of the things, because I feel like I at least know that my parents don't love me any less for coming out. And I know that my grandmother probably wouldn't love me any less. She probably just wouldn't know how to how to talk to me.
Yeah.
And that's what I don't want. But I've never experienced that. And I'm sure that was hard, especially being younger, being a teenager.
And not really getting it at that point. Like literally just being like literally just questioning whether or not your family actually has loved you this whole time, or if they just love the idea that they made of you because you're here. Like that is like what really was fucking with me. And I mean, even now, my relationship with my family is basically non-existent. Not that that's how I want it to be, but it's just because I feel like all the things that have happened and all the things that have been pushed upon me deserve an apology.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not my job to teach you how to apologize. I'm already the eldest, so I already feel like I've been taking care of your fucking kids my whole life. I'm not about to take care of you also. I admire the people who want to gentle parent their parents, but babe, I'm not doing that shit. And I get everybody they work with what they have at the time, but it's not hard to be a decent human being, and it's not hard to be nice. It's not hard to be accepting, even if you don't agree. And an apology is basically, even whether you agree that my feelings are hurt or not, an apology is an acknowledgement that my feelings are hurt and that you hurt my feelings. And saying something like, well, I'm sorry you felt like I did blah, blah, blah. That's not an apology. And I'm going to tell you right then, it's not an apology. And I'm going to ask you to start again. Well, I don't know what you want from me. I don't know what you to say. I don't know what you want me to say. Nobody has ever made your asses apologize for real. And it shows. And I'm just not going to be the bitch that's going to settle for your half-ass shit because you want me in your life. Babe, I'm flourishing without you either way. So.
That's facts, bitch. That's facts.
Yeah. But, family is everything for some people. It is. Yeah. It is nothing to me. So.
You just make your own family, as a lot of queer people have to.
Yeah.
As a means of survival.
Yeah.
With that, we have some more coming out stories from 3 of our listeners, and we're really excited to share them with you. I will give a little preference that I was on the call.
Yeah.
But you cannot hear me or see me.
Because we accidentally put them in producer mode.
Yeah, I was in producer mode, y'all. We're, first time for everything.
Yeah, this was also our first time doing a group call.
Yeah.
On the website that we use.
And hopefully it won't be our last. Yeah. We really loved talking to these people. Mm-hmm. We loved it. It was such a open, and flowing
personal
conversation.
It was also such a personal thing.
Yeah.
To do with people that
you don't know.
That consistently listen to the podcast anyway. And they're like, oh my God, love the questions you ask, love all this stuff that you do and everything like that. So it's also just genuine energy coming to support what we're doing, but also, talk about whatever it is that they want. So, I mean, if you want to be a guest, it is a lot more possible now since we have figured out our software. No fancy equipment needed. You just either need a phone or a laptop.
And a quiet place.
And a quiet place. That's literally all you need. You can definitely check on our Instagram for more infos on guests. We're always looking for queer people, trans people, mothers, sex workers, literally anything, teachers, literally anything. We can talk about anything that with whatever profession that you do and still somehow tie it to a pleasure principle. So
absolutely
would always love to hear from everyone.
Okay, well, here we go, y'all. Here is the 3 beautiful people that decided to share their coming out stories.
Yeah. Today we're here with a few guests who also have agreed to share their coming out stories with us. Which is great because, I want to know how you bitches came out as gay too. I'm nosy. I want to know. So we have 3 friends here. And yeah, does anybody want to go first in sharing?
I can go first. I don't really mind.
Go ahead.
Okay. So my coming out story was a little bit like a drug-on process just because I think just by profiling who I was dating at the time, they could probably put pieces together, of maybe, whatever. And my dad was born in Iowa, so he's they were gay friendly for a very long time before the rest of the US. So they're, he's very accepting and stuff. So my dad was a lot more open and just kind of whatever about it. But eventually, whenever I got a little bit older and I wanted to tell my mom about it, she was like, I think I just told her that I liked girls, and she was like, okay. But then she kind of started being a little bit, I would say, just what's the word I'm looking for? Just projecting her motherhood vision of my life, which I can't be mad at. You know what I mean? Because at first I was, but then getting older and being like, I can't blame her for visioning me with a husband and a white picket fence and kids. You know what I mean? And so like it hurt me less as I got older, but it was very much like she was like, yeah, you're gonna end up with a man still. And I was like, okay, you know, whatever. And then she very loudly yelled across the house to my brother and was like, Clay, do you know your sister's gay? And I wasn't like ready to. Yeah, it was like a one at a time type of thing. I wanted to. that was my moment. You know what I mean? She kind of just like blurted it. He was like, "Yeah, I know," and then that was kind of it with my mom. And then whenever I eventually told my dad, he was like, I know. And I was like, okay. We were in Jimmy John's and he was like, come here, Leslie. And I gave him a big hug. And then that was it. And ever since then, my dad has been like the coolest about it. Like he'd buy me like, he bought me a mug that says like Daddy's Little Bull Dyke. He bought me an apron that said, what did it say? Like, throw me with the tequila and the lesbians or something like that. Like he just like, he's very just like anything that's like gay friendly. He's like, oh yeah, I'm going to get it for her. So he was very accepting, but I think even now my family, it's very backhanded. Like if I date a girl, nothing really gets said about it, but whenever I date a man, they're like, oh, I'm so happy for your lifestyle change. And I'm like, it's not a change, baby. It's just, these are like my grandparents or something where they're like, oh, I'm so happy for your lifestyle change. I'm like, okay, thank you, but that doesn't change. So I'm pansexual. And even in finding that, with the gay community, a lot of lesbians, they don't like bisexual women. Like, we get like shunned. And so whenever I was growing up with not knowing exactly, I feel like I need to pick a side, and I just couldn't because I was attracted to both. It was really hard. And I remember dating women and then being like, oh, you date guys, you're a bisexual woman, I can't date you. And I'd be like, then I'm a lesbian, baby. Like, I'm whatever you want me to be. You know what I mean? Like, I will shun men very quickly, and so it was really kind of like me just like trading my beliefs or like whatever just to kind of be like to make someone else happy. And as I've gotten older, I think like a title on it, and identification has become less important to me because with being pansexual, what to me pansexual is I don't care who you are, what you identify as, those nuances don't matter to me. It's you in a relationship. It's how you're gonna love me and help me reach my goals and vice versa. That matters to me. You know those other things, I love to know about that. I'm so interested in that and who you are, but I don't care. You know what I mean? Like that's not going to stop me from opening my heart to you. So I identify as pansexual, but if it's explaining to somebody, I'm just bi. I don't want to have to be the Google. You can go to that. You know what I mean? That's not my responsibility to educate you.
Yeah.
But that's my coming out story. It's kind of
How do
was
you
dressed.
feel like how do you feel like coming out, like do you feel like it made your experience as a queer person like more fulfilling coming out and being out in the open, or did it more so sort of like introvert you back in like what is it, like make you want to dull it a little bit because of like anything that was said to you?
I don't want to say it dulled it, but like whenever I would say pansexual, a lot of people the first thing they pop off with is like, oh, so you like pans? Like literally, like it's like a joke. It's like the dumbest joke I've ever heard. It's not funny. Like I can't laugh at it. So it's maybe it was a good joke. I'd be like, you know what I mean? But it's like the most unoriginal play on a word. So I'm just like, yeah, I think it kind of got exhausting to me to, like I said, to have to educate and explain to people what that means. Like, if you're really that curious, you can look it up. You know what I mean? But for me, that's why I'll just shorten and be like, I'm bisexual. Because truly, again, like the nuances of it, I don't care if you don't identify. Like, I don't care about those things. So almost just to go into more detail how I don't care about something that's, to me, really small. Like, it I don't know. Like I know for some people, it's really it makes you who you are. Like literally, it's a lifelong journey for some people becoming who they truly are. You know, but to me, it's like I don't care. You know, like whatever you want to be, I love. You
If
know,
you're
but it did kind of make me just because pansexual is such a nuance. Like it's such a it's deeper than just bi. You know, and have to explain to that one. Like have to and, you know, going into intersex. Like why? You know, why are there? You know, what do you mean? Like more than just men and women. Like having to go further into gender and explaining gender and sex, it's just like I don't. It can be a complicated discussion that again I'm just like if it's for a certain person, I will explain, I will educate them. But for a normal person that's insignificant to me and like my journey in my life, you know, like a passerby, I'm just pansexual, you know. So I think in a way it kind of did dull it because it kind of made me exhausted having to keep re-saying that and then to also even be sometimes like I don't know. I don't know if I find pansexual more accepted than being bisexual because you do get the stigma that you're confused, that you don't know what you want, or that you like one more than the other, you know. And so I think it did kind of make me feel like maybe I'll just I don't know, you know, just say I'm bi because it's easier and people can just accept that. And if they again want to not like me because I like both, then that's your loss, you know.
love it. Do you feel like coming out had like improved your queerness just in general, like how you feel, how you act with partners, with friends, like when you go out to places, do you feel like that freed you a little, just making like having the world know who you are?
Kind of, because you know, and I feel like that's an ongoing thing too of what I've experienced, like where it's like I'm not confused. You know, it is pansexual. I just don't want to go into the full detail of what that is to someone who's not going to really remember it. Because if you really cared, you would just do your own research. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think it did because it gives me validation of you know what, like I'm not confused, and I know I'm not confused. But you know, I've asked myself that too. Like, never been in a relationship with a guy. Am I straight? You know what I mean? Is this am I straight now? Like, how do I, you know what I mean? Like, what do I look like to, what if I marry this man? You know what I mean? Like, how do I go on through that? You know, sometimes I kind of would ask myself, and now it's because I've had men in the past be really intimidated by that. You know, the fact that I still identify as bisexual or pansexual while with them, you know, and so like, you know, to ease their mind, because again, I don't want to argue and I don't care. I'm like, sure, I'm straight. But in reality, I know, you know what I mean? Because again, I'm not going to argue with someone where I have to keep explaining this, which was also a downfall of that relationship because I just like, I can't keep explaining to you me. Be like, you know what? I think I am bi. And, you know, and I think it was y'all's last podcast of like coming out and
Hmm.
wanting to keep it to yourself because of whatever, you know, just like the drama and wanting to have to do that to your family if it's not, you know, like a relationship worth doing that for, I guess. But you know, it's been nice to kind of assist someone else on that and be like, you are validated, whether or not you come out to somebody or not. Like, you have that now, and that's something that nobody can take from you. You know what I mean? That's, I think, a beautiful thing. And so I've liked being able to kind of normalize that with other very straight people, you know, or thought they were very straight, you know. And so I think
Okay.
just sharing that for sure.
Perfect. I do love that. We love a what is it? A humanitarian. Yes. Doing the work of for the people. I love it. Okay. Yeah, literally. That's beautiful. I do love that that it has like at least free like made you feel more free, also made you feel more in tune with yourself cuz definitely learning things about yourself is always
Yeah. And
key.
while being
Yeah.
in the hospital, like working as a CNA and, you know, with trans people, like I would love getting trans people because like I know that I will take care of them and I'm not going to make them feel like, you know, versus like, you know, nurse talk at the nurse's station. You can tell some people are really bothered by stuff and it's like, you shouldn't be their nurse, you know, which at the
Or any
same time,
nurse at all.
yeah, which, you know, but for you to be like, hey, like, maybe I'm not the best caretaker for them, like, pass the buck on to me because I want to be there to hear them, you know? And so just knowing that they have a safe person to be with is, you know, really important to me. So to kind of be like that ally in a place where they may not have many allies, it's really A privilege.
Okay, who's going next?
I'll go next.
I can
Oh,
go. I'm down to
Oh,
talk.
yeah, yeah, go ahead. Rock, paper, scissors on this hoe.
Well, yes, my coming out story, whew, was a bit of a hot mess. I'll be honest. It was a bit of a mess. I had already known that something was different about me growing up, especially around middle school was when I really knew. My feelings for the other girls in the class was not what I was hearing them talk about. Like I'm hearing them talk about boys and this, that, and the third, and I'm like, they alright, but y'all though, like the girls, y'all not talking about the girls the same way. Like, what's up with that? But here I am wanting to have those conversations, and I knew it was a little off. But when I got older into high school, my mom walked in on me with another girl. And so, like, by default, I had to come out. And it got ugly. Like, I almost got kicked out of the house. Me and my mom fought. My dad had to keep us, like, separated because it was getting to a place where it was, like, almost physical. And it's kind of day and night where we are now, me and my mom's relationship. But how we started was it was a little dicey. It was a little rough. And now, as someone who is 29, I've realized that my identity is someone who is queer. I started out as bisexual because I wasn't really sure how I felt about men, or shall I say, like more so cishet men. I didn't know where I kind of landed with them. And in high school and after high school and college, I gave it a try. I was attracted to whoever I'm attracted to, which is when I think the bisexual to pansexual pipeline is a real thing. Because I went through that same journey of, I think I'm bisexual, and then I realized I'm just attracted to just people I'm attracted to. I don't really have a, specific thing to it. And then now I'm like, you know what? I'm just queer because I've learned over time that my identity is just radical in and of itself, and my love for people is radical in and of itself, and queerness is that whole essence. So like when people ask me, are you gay? Are you straight? Are you bi? I'm queer, and let the chips fall where they may. I let that be that. And my parents, I kind of had to come out more than once with them because I think they were still clinging to the idea that I was going to be with a man and marry a man until my current relationship, where they're like, oh no, she's seriously in a relationship with a whole nother woman right now. And I think it's serious, and we don't feel like this is just a phase for her. So that's where I'm at now. I've had to kind of reiterate to my dad on several occasions that, babe, I'm gay. Like, you're talking to me about straight stuff, and that's not me. So that's kind of my little coming out spiel. I think for me, I was willing to bring around the men. I wasn't really in serious relationships with anyone else other than men for quite some time. And I only felt comfortable bringing men around because I knew how my parents were with me coming out. They were still really leery about this identity for me. They're still kind of leery about me going on my gender identity journey in and of itself. So they're going through a whole process of things right now. But now it's complete 180. They've met my girlfriend. They understand that we live together. They understand that this is a serious relationship for me, the whole nine. But before now, I definitely would not have brought her around just out of, I don't like to bring partners into an environment where they'll be uncomfortable because I want to make sure I center that I don't want to put you in a space where you feel like you're going to be attacked or you have to defend who you are. And I wanted to wait until I knew more so for sure that my parents were not going to show their whole behind. You know what I mean? Like, I don't need y'all acting a plump fool. And they will. And I knew my mama especially would. And I was like, I'm gonna have to watch this one a little while longer before I start bringing people around. You know.
It would you have so with it going a little escalated whenever you did it got really escalated, it sounds like whenever everything did happen, did you have a plan to come out to them like in a more um less intimate way than them walking in on you?
Funny enough, I didn't even get that far in my plan. Like I didn't even have a chance to even think through like how would I ever, get
Uh-uh.
to that point. I think part of it was my girlfriend at that time. Our relationship was high school, so most of our time spent was within the walls of the school and like on the bus being
Yeah.
disgusting, typical
Yeah.
teenagers,
Yeah.
usual thing. Yeah, and she lived like up the street from me, so it was easy for her to just come to my house and we'd hang out and things like that. So I never really, I think my naiveness at being 15, 16 years old was just, I never really have to have this conversation with my parents because I'm already keeping it a secret. It's just never going to be this out in public thing to them, and foolish of me for being in the same house with these people and having her upstairs and being all freaky deaky like they not in the same house and thinking I would never get caught. There was a little bit of just naiveness there. So, but I low key looking back at it, I don't regret it because I don't think I would have ever taken the initiative to have those conversations with them because I already knew how they were. And so I think that kind of thrusted my mom into this space of where she had to acknowledge my child is not the person that I envisioned. I have to adjust to that. So it was kind of a forced thing for all of us.
Okay. How is your relationship with your parents now?
It's better. It's better. We moving and grooving with some things. We're still working on it because I grew up in like a traditional Black Southern Baptist family,
Yeah.
and there's a lot of things that they don't play about, and queerness is one of those where they just like, that's not okay. But my mom lately, she's been on this like little interesting journey where she's unlearning a lot of things that she was taught. That there's been some generational stuff, and she's learning to not be so elitist. She's learning to be less homophobic, transphobic, all of the things. And it's a beautiful thing to see because there was a point where she was just dead set against even bothering to do the thing. And now as a result, our relationship is getting a lot better. We're still not where I could just tell her all of the stuff, but we're working through things. I can definitely say we're working through things, and she's respecting my boundaries of this is my business, you got your business, I'm grown, I'm doing my thing. You know what I mean?
It's a beautiful thing to hear when like a Black woman has a good relationship with their parents or parents, especially their mother,
Yeah.
because shit don't be happening like that. Okay,
It
let
don't.
let me tell you, I'm the first one to tell you, shit do not be happening like that all the time, and no amount of like glue and mending can like fix it. But it always warms my heart like hearing that things like that can turn around, especially for like Black people. That should be like right here in
Yeah.
my
Right in the
chest.
fields.
Yeah, literally. And I'm like, huh. And then it's like, let me make this joke. Like, ooh, I wonder what it feels like to be loved by your parents.
Yeah.
But
Just
and then everybody's like, are you okay? And I'm like,
laugh behind the tears.
but now we're gonna segue on over to my. This is technically my dad. Father's Day is coming up. Dad, I did see something in the store I want to get for you. And I think it's so funny that when I be like, "Oh my God, you should meet my dad," and then I show them a picture of a femme, they're like, they're like,
That's
"Dad,
so funny. Any
yes,
dad
no,
shirt, people were like, "Did you
please."
borrow that?"
Nope, I bought it. It's like a foam finger. It's like a foam finger with a number one on it, and it says number one dad on it. And then I think there was one year I got you like a dad mug that said "World Greatest Dad" or something like that. Just dumb shit.
Love it.
But yes, please, Snow, tell us your coming out story, because yeah.
Well, I feel like my coming out story was uneventful in like actuality, but like internally, I was having like the most meltdown of meltdowns that could like ever happen ever. So like I grew up Mormon, so that in general, gay is not a thing. That's just how it was. And so from a young age, I for sure knew I was gay cuz I was always, I had all these girlfriends and like no guy friends. Like none of them. Didn't want to talk to them, didn't want to anything. My friends would be like, "Oh, look at all these boys and all these boys." And I'm like, "That's nice. Well, y'all want to go swimming or something?" Like, something like that would always happen. And I'm like, they're like, "Oh, you never talk about what boys you want to kiss." And I was like, I'd have to just like make up a Backstreet Boys name or like something like that. And they'd be like, "Oh, well, that's the ugly one." And so I'd always say AJ. So then they would just never answer me ever again. I would never just have a question. And so like just not wanting to like accept like I have these feelings toward girls, but then going to like church or whatever and just not getting that kind of like acceptance towards that, literally just being told like the total opposite. Like, if you have those thoughts, you're going to hell, stuff like that was just like, okay, so I would just like try to suppress it down, suppress it down, suppress it down. And then it got to like, like middle school into high school, and I for sure knew like guys are okay. Like, I don't mind them. They're cool. But, like, it has to be, like, a specific one where it's like, okay, I fucks with that. Besides that, it was just, like, girls, 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 girls. And it was still trying to just, like, suppress that down, suppress that down. It's not real. Like, oh, it's just, like, you just really want to be, like, best friends with them. That's how it was in my head.
Okay. Yeah.
So, like, in high school is when I got my, like, first, like, secret girlfriend like at school, even though like my mom and stuff was like still like super Mormon, like wasn't really like, it wasn't yet. And I also like I've never really had like the best relationship with my dad, so that was for sure not a place I would go for something that I felt like was personal. So I think that relationship was maybe like 3 or 4 months, but like nobody knew about it. Like people at school didn't even know we were dating, like stuff like that. And then eventually I was just like, I don't feel like I should have to hide this anymore. And so like I think it was like the year after I graduated or something, and it was freaking funny because my mom had like she was still kind of going to church, but not really. And so we like had a conversation, and um I didn't tell her that I was gay or anything, but I kind of just alluded to it and kind of just was like putting like the little seed out there and was just kind of like, like the church says all this stuff about gays and about this and that. I'm like, they also don't like black people at the time, so that was a certain thing. But I was just like, how do you feel about that? And she was like, that isn't really, she was kind of just like, that wasn't something that like mattered, I guess. Like that wasn't like something she believed, like, because it's God should just love everybody kind of a thing. So she was like, that isn't really a problem for me or nothing like that. And so I like slowly in my mind that kind of just like opened it up to being like, okay, so like if I do say something to her, it wouldn't be that bad. And then I think like a year or so after that, we moved to Arizona, and one day we were just like having a conversation because like I kept seeing her with girls all the time, and I was just like, that's funny. That's really weird. Ha 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 ha. And so, like having a conversation about something, and I don't even know how it came up, but we were talking. It ended up being like moved into like sexuality and stuff like that, and she said something to the effect of like, "I've had plenty of women and men, and I prefer women over men." And I was like, "Yeah, me too." And then she just kind of sat there and looked at me for a second, and we just did like the Spider-Man where it's just like essentially we both just looked at each other like, are you gonna flip? Are you gonna flop? Because I ain't flopping. This is real shit. This is real. And then like so she just like kept going with the conversation. So I was like, oh, did I just come out? Like in my head the whole time I was just like, I think she knows I'm gay now. Like I think she knows. And so I was just like, oh shoot, okay, well, cool. And like I don't think she believed me because like in her mind I had also just never dated anybody. And so I was just like, okay. And then of course, like first like outward relationship I get is with a man. So then she's just like, I thought you liked women. And I was like, I do. She's like, but who's this guy? And I was like, oh, that's my boyfriend. And she's like, oh, does he know you like girls? And I was like, yeah, he wants me to get a girlfriend. And she just looks at me and was like, you guys are like that? And I was like, well, yeah, like I'm bi. And she was like, but that's another girlfriend in with that and blah 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 blah. So then I had to like explain to her like how my internal struggles with even just coming out as like being bi, like throughout that process I was also learning like I also don't think I'm just meant for like one person, you know? Not that I can't be with one person, but just like if I did have more than one person, it would, I don't even know the word, but it would just like,
Enhance your
yeah,
life.
just like feel kind of like complete, you know? Like I feel like how it's like, oh, it takes a village to blah blah blah. That's kind of how I feel. Like you can't expect somebody to be able to handle every single thing that you know have going on or go through or whatever, and then you also have to accept everything that they go through. Sometimes you need like even just having a friend on the outside or just having, you know, somebody else that you can also confide in, but not always just like burden the same person with like every single thing you have. And so like I just had to kind of explain to her like polyamory and like how it's not always like, oh, everybody has to have sex with each other and everybody has to do this with each other. It's like it's just like your own relationships, as if like you have a best friend, it doesn't have to be like your boyfriend's best friend just because it's your best friend, you know, stuff like that. And once I kind of explained that to her and how I believe in like polyamory and just being bi, it made sense to her and she like understands, but she's still like weary about being poly and like stuff like that, just because it's mom, I guess. um but she's not really like scared of it or like, you know, scared I'm gonna do something dumb because she trusts me and stuff. um and then I think just within probably the last like 5 years is when I kind of came to terms with like I don't think I'm just bi. I think I feel like more pansexual just because I think like the more I educated myself and like what bisexuality is and just like finding other forms of like how to identify as, I feel like being pan probably like fits me more because I don't see only men and only women. I see like anything in between or none at all or, you know, any sort of thing like that because that's just not really something that, not that it doesn't matter, but it's not consequential to me viewing you a certain way. How I view you is how you treat someone, how you act in front or behind of, you know, public, you know, things like that, how you treat service workers, how, you know, stuff like that is more important to me than how you sexually identify or, you know, gender identifications or something like that. It was just never anything that like really bothered me, but then also just like finding yourself attracted to someone and then they tell you, oh, I identify as blah blah blah, it would kind of make me see like, oh, okay. So like it just makes you see like everybody is just a person. Like as just their own entity and you just kind of figuring out each other or learning each other's, you know, ins and outs and just like being comfortable with it and not being scared of it, I guess. And like now that I'm like 31, not like 12 anymore, I don't have to be scared to like tell people, oh, like I'm not straight. I'm not straight. They're like, oh, you're dating a man. It's like, okay, I'll take your girl though. I'll take you too.
We could all menage a
I
trois.
know
What's
what's up.
up?
I got a number. What you trying to do?
I love it. Okay. And I mean, I know like your mom is queer also. How has that been like being grown and queer and also being around your queer mother? Because I just remember us living in the same house and your mom is fucking
My mom,
hilarious. And she's really gay
yeah,
too. That bitch is gay as hell. That bitch is so gay. I was like, why? I'm gonna go put a shirt on,
yeah.
mother,
My mom is
because
so gay. She'll be the first one to be like, "Why's your titties out? Why you ain't got a bra on?" I'm like, "Why are you the only person looking at my titties that hard?
you looking at my
Why you
titties.
got your whole ass out in them shorts? Why are you looking
This
at
is
my ass so
breakfast.
much? Like, damn." I'm like, "I know you're jealous. It's okay, but like, back up off me." I'm like, "Grown, I pay my own bills." She's like, "Okay, I guess that's true. I guess that's true." And I'm like, "Your girl don't even be policing you. You about to get married and shit."
Yeah.
She's about to get married. How long have they been together?
Uh, 8 years, I think.
Oh. Did she have girlfriends growing up with you in the house?
I think so, but she always told me no. I'd only say
She's
that
a liar.
because children be looking and children be seeing little patterns going on. And I think I just at the time just didn't understand. But then looking back, I'm
You had your house in
like
this
you had
house.
in this house and you policing me? That's how it is. And now she's just like hella gay. Gay is everything. Like everything is gay. Everything, everybody's gay. Gay is just everything. And I'm like, I mean, yeah, because literally we live in a queer house. Like that's
Everybody's gay in
yeah,
the house.
queer
Yeah.
house. So I freaking love it because then like nobody feels uncomfortable with anything or like you. It's easy to know where people's boundaries are because you don't have to feel like guarded about feelings or guarded about anything like that. If something's like off or if something is like, oh well, this is new, you just kind of like say it and everybody just is like, okay, cool, and you go on with your business. It doesn't have to be like a big like scary situation, which is funny because literally like my whole childhood and like early life, that was like the scariest thing ever, and now it's just like I be going out looking hella gay and loving it, and I'm like, I wish I had that confidence as a child and just had that outlet because that would have made life a lot easier, a lot less
Yeah.
anxiety driven, and just like I feel like honestly all children should just have that open outlet because it's just gives them trauma that they shouldn't have to deal with just for being themselves. And if you're a parent, you should just kind of just you became a parent because you wanted to watch somebody grow into being their own person. And if you're pushing them down or, telling them, no, that's not how you really are, you're not really watching them grow up as their own person. You're like trying to manufacture a person in a box that they don't fit in. And that's not fair for anybody.
Yeah. It sounds like coming out has definitely been like really positive for the most part for
Yeah.
you. How does your father,
Yeah.
sorry, because I'm okay with it. How does your father deal with you being queer?
I don't think I ever actually like technically came out to my dad. I think what ended
Okay.
up happening was what my mom told me after the fact, which I think is super funny. But it's like within the last like 3 years or something, my dad was like he like called my mom and like was telling her something and was like talking on the phone, and then he said something to the effect of, um, I think our daughter's gay. I think our daughter's lesbian or something like that.
Oh my
And
god. He said, "Hey, I think that
he
bitch
said,
is gay."
bitch, with any man, no niggas have ever been to the house. I think she liked the cooch. And my mom was like, yeah, she's pan. She doesn't care who you are. And my dad's, I wouldn't say he's closed-minded, but he's very old generation, like, still listen.
Yeah, tradition.
You're not gonna take the time to learn the difference between like pansexual and
No.
bisexual,
So like,
like
I
that kind
just
of
told her,
vibe.
I was like, if people ask, like, unless I feel like educating them, which I 100% do not feel like educating anybody when Google's free, just tell them I'm bi, because that lets them know, at least like men and women, and then no matter like who I bring to the house, you should just assume that's, my person. Like, I'm like, that's just how it should be. You shouldn't have to, like, every time I have a new person or like have somebody come over to the house, I shouldn't be questioned about it or anything like that. And so, like, I think my dad just doesn't want to literally have the conversation. I'm also dating a man now, so I think he just kind of like pushed that whole conversation to the back of his head and was like, no, she's dating a man, so she can't be gay. And so it never came up to me, at least. Obviously, it came up to my mom, but like, it never came up to me. It's never been a conversation. I know eventually one day it might become a conversation, but I think just him and my mom having their 2 second little like, hey, I think, yeah, she is. I think that was just like enough for him to be like, oh, and just kind of take that as his own answer and not want to get any more clarification. And that's just how it is, which is fine to me because it's no problematic behaviors or anything like that. And I don't get treated differently or anything like that. So like, I don't see a problem with it. I think it's fine, but I don't think I've ever technically came out to him. But like, I feel like he probably also knew because I dressed very androgynous, I guess, all through middle school and high school. And then like only within like the last maybe 10 years have I ever like put a dress on purpose.
The signs were all there. They just don't be wanting to be
Yeah.
like.
I was putting little hints out there and y'all just didn't get it. And I was like, I think that was just my autism being like, oh, they should just totally get because I'm wearing sweatpants
Yeah.
that I'm super gay. And like now, like, I just dressed like a lazy ass like teenager. That's just it. Like, well, shit.
I really love that. Even though as a born Mormon, I guess
Yeah.
you can say born because you were still a baby when they were still
Yeah.
practicing.
I
So
was
yeah,
put
so as a born
right.
Mormon and being as yeah, and see now you being as gay and queer and kinky as you are, I'm like somebody's rolling over in their grave
Oh,
right now. I don't know
some
who,
fucking
but
backflips in their grave right now, trying to find a new updated dictionary and everything. I'm just like, hey. And it's funny, just moved, and our backyard like butts up to a Mormon church.
LOL.
So I think it's funny because like my mom's like, oh well, we can't be playing this or we can't be doing this out loud during while there's church, and I'm the first one to go out there and like light up a smoke or go sit out there and like just
That's crazy.
what are they supposed to do? Come over my yard? No, because that's trespassing. They can leave
I'll fire you up.
or not.
Wow. Well, before we sign it off for this lovely little segment, do you want to plug your businesses and things such as that?
Oh yeah, so you can find me TikTok or Instagram at Snows Galactic Goodies, SNOS underscore galactic underscore goodies. I'm trying to get more on TikTok and like post more on there just so I can like get to that 1,000 and like start doing lives because I want to start doing like baking lives and stuff like I used to do on Instagram. But I'm on Instagram like every single day. So message me there. My menus are always posted. Each month I have a deal that's posted and I have like vegan alternatives, any kind of dietary restrictions. I can usually fit that into also making you a delicious edible treat.
I guess just my TikTok because I'm trying to grow it right now. So people could follow me there at Made for Heauxhouse. It's spelled exactly like it sounds, Heaux House. You can find me on there. I'm not as active on Instagram, but same concept. Um, and yeah, my last thing I'll say is make sure y'all tip in your sex worker friends. We are very much in need of money and funds right now. And yeah, I love y'all.
Love it. Many hearts. Thanks for joining us.
It was good to see you.
Bye.
I don't really have any like business socials, so if you want to follow me on Y2 Kadie, I'd love to connect and get to know more gay people and just share stories and be an ally for you. But yeah, just reach out and new people. Thank y'all for having me.
Yes, thank you for coming. Much love always.
I can't wait to hear Snow's story. Can't wait.
Yes, right?
Bummed I couldn't hear it because I had bought some goodies from her, and so I was like, can't wait. So, anyways, I know I told her see Snow, but tell her, or I'll tell her. Thank you so much for everything you do. You're awesome. I can't wait to hear your story. But bye, ladies. Bye, guys. Y'all have a good day.
Okay, guys, we hope you enjoyed the video and enjoyed our listeners and now our guests. Feel free to follow them all on Instagram. They gave out that information, and I'll definitely link it in the description of this episode so you can stay up to date on what they're doing as well. Where can you find us? All Your Pleasures _ on TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram. You can find us there too. Follow, subscribe, babes. We will see you next week. Have a great Wednesday or whenever the fuck you listen to this pod.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.
Hush, hush, baby.